In the early days of the earth, when the world was still new and the memories of Eden were fresh in the hearts of Adam's descendants, humanity began to multiply across the land. Families grew, towns formed, and the earth was filled with people who carried the breath of God within them. The world was vast, beautiful, and full of possibility. Rivers flowed like silver ribbons through fertile valleys. Mountains stood tall, crowned with mist. Forests stretched endlessly, filled with life. It should have been a world of harmony, a world where people walked closely with their Creator.
Ho, ho, ho!
But the heart of humanity drifted, slowly at first barely noticeable, like a shadow at sunrise, but in time, the darkness grew. People began to forget God. They forgot His goodness, His voice, His ways. They pursued their own desires, their own pleasures, their own ambitions. What was once a world filled with promise became a world filled with corruption. Hatred spread where love should have lived. Violence filled the streets. The strong oppressed the weak. People sought power, wealth, and control at any cost. The earth groaned under the weight of their evil.
Ho, ho, ho!
Every imagination of the thoughts of their hearts became continually wicked. But in the midst of a world collapsing into chaos, one man lived differently. His name was Noah. While others turned from God, Noah walked with him. When people embraced wickedness, Noah pursued righteousness. When the world laughed at truth, Noah listened to the whispers of God. Noah wasn't perfect, but he was faithful. His heart was devoted, steady, and attentive to the one who made him. One day God looked upon the earth, and his heart was filled with sorrow.
Ho, ho, ho!
Not anger alone, but a deep, wounded sorrow, the pain of watching creation destroy itself. Humanity, whom He had made with such love, had turned so violently away from everything good. The world had become a vessel of cruelty, corruption, and rebellion. God saw that if this continued, the earth would tear itself apart. Evil was spreading like a sickness that threatened to consume everything. Then God spoke to Noah. His voice carried the weight of judgment, yet also the gentle tone of mercy.
Ho, ho, ho!
He told Noah that the corruption of humanity had reached its limit, and that He would bring a great flood upon the world waters that would cleanse the earth of the evil that had taken root. It would be a reset, a new beginning, a chance for humanity to start over. But God did not leave Noah without a path of salvation. He told him to build an ark, a massive structure, unlike anything the world had ever seen. The instructions were detailed and precise. The ark was to be made of sturdy gopher wood, coated inside and out with pitch to keep it waterproof.
Ho, ho, ho!
It would have 3 levels, countless rooms, and a single door. Its length would stretch longer than modern ships. Its height would tower above houses. Noah was to gather food, supplies, and pairs of every kind of animal on earth. This ark would become a sanctuary, a lifeboat in the coming storm, a refuge for the righteous remnant God had chosen to preserve. Imagine Noah hearing such a command. No rain, no sign of disaster, no dark clouds gathering. Nothing but the voice of God telling him what was to come.
Ho, ho, ho!
Yet Noah believed. He didn't hesitate. He didn't negotiate. He didn't demand a sign. He simply obeyed. Faith, true faith, means trusting even when no proof is visible. And Noah trusted fully. Day after day, he worked. He cut down trees. He shaped massive beams. He hammered wooden planks into place. Each strike of his hammer echoed like a warning to the world, though few paid attention. People walked by, watching the giant structure grow, shaking their heads. Some laughed. Some mocked. "What are you building, Noah?" they jeered.
Ho, ho, ho!
A ship. On dry land, where is this flood you speak of? You've lost your mind. But Noah ignored their voices and listened only to the voice of God. His sons Shem, Ham, and Japheth worked beside him. They carried lumber, sealed cracks with pitch, tied ropes, and lifted beams high. Noah's wife and daughters-in-law prepared food, dried fruits, stored grains, collected water skins, preserved meats. They worked not because the sky was dark, but because the word of God was certain. Every day, as the ark rose, it became a monument of faith in a world drowning in disbelief.
Ho, ho, ho!
Years passed. The ark stood complete, an enormous vessel resting on dry ground, towering over fields and forests. It was a symbol of mercy and warning, of judgment and hope. And then something incredible began to happen. Animals, guided by the unseen hand of God, started coming toward the ark, not wandering, not confused, but purposefully. Lions walked calmly beside gazelles. Birds of every color filled the skies. Elephants rumbled forward, shaking the earth with their steps.
Ho, ho, ho!
Bears, wolves, rabbits, turtles, snakes, leopards, owls, creatures from mountains, deserts, forests, and rivers all came in pairs. People watching could not understand. How could this be? How could so many creatures suddenly assemble in one place? Yet still, they refused to believe Noah's warnings. Noah gently guided the animals into the ark, placing them in their prepared rooms. The sound of hooves, wings, and soft growls echoed inside the wooden structure. The atmosphere was unlike anything the world had ever seen, peaceful, orderly, miraculous.
Ho, ho, ho!
When all the animals had entered, when the food was stored, when the ark was ready for what was coming, God spoke again. Noah, enter the ark, you and all your household, for you alone have I found righteous in this generation. Noah gathered his family. They stood at the entrance of the ark, looking out at a world unaware that its final days had arrived. Then they stepped inside. As they entered, the light dimmed. The echoes of the outside world faded. And then, in a moment of awe and mystery, the Lord himself shut the door. Not Noah, not his sons. God sealed the ark with his own hand.
Ho, ho, ho!
Silence fell. A strange, heavy stillness settled over the land. The sky above, clear moments before, began to darken. Clouds gathered thick, heavy, swirling with a power no one had ever witnessed. The air shifted. A drop of rain fell. Then another, and another, until suddenly the heavens opened. Rain poured from the sky in sheets. Thunder cracked. Lightning tore across the clouds. The ground trembled as fountains of water burst from beneath the earth. Rivers exploded upward, joining the roaring rain from above. The world that had mocked Noah now stood in shock as water surged across the land.
Ho, ho, ho!
The ark trembled. The ground beneath it shifted. And then, slowly, it rose. The waters lifted it from the earth with gentle force. It floated, steady and strong, carried by the storm God had unleashed. Outside, chaos erupted. People climbed to rooftops. They ran to high places. They called out to each other, to their idols, to the heavens. They ran to high places. They called out to each other, to their idols, to the heavens. But the waters kept rising. Houses disappeared beneath the flood. Fields vanished. Forests were swallowed. Mountains shrank beneath the waves. The world that had once been filled with laughter and life was now covered in a vast, endless ocean. For 40 days and 40 nights, the rain did not stop.
Ho, ho, ho!
The sound of it was constant, loud, relentless, unending. Inside the ark, Noah and his family cared for the animals, prayed together, and listened to the roar outside. The storm raged. But the ark remained steady, held by the very hand of God. Eventually, the rain slowed, the clouds thinned, the heavens grew quiet.
Ho, ho, ho!
But the world below was unrecognizable. Water stretched in every direction, a silent sea with no land in sight. For months, the ark floated on the waters, drifting gently. Noah waited with patience. Faith was not just in building the ark, it was in trusting God through every moment of the journey. At last, after many months, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat.
Ho, ho, ho!
Not a flat plain, but high on a rugged mountain range. As the waters continued to recede, peaks and ridges began to appear like sleeping giants emerging from the depths. Noah opened a window and released a raven. It flew back and forth over the endless waters, but found no place to land. Later, Noah released a dove. It returned with nothing. The land was not yet ready.
Ho, ho, ho!
After 7 more days, he sent the dove again. This time it returned with an olive leaf in its beak, a symbol of peace, a sign that life was returning to the earth. Noah waited patiently, trusting God's timing. After another week, he sent the dove once more. It did not return. The world outside was ready again. Finally, God spoke to Noah, "Leave the ark."
Ho, ho, ho!
And Noah obeyed. He stepped out into a renewed world, fresh, quiet, washed clean. The air was crisp, the sky clear, mountains glistened with dew. The earth, reborn after judgment, seemed to breathe again. Noah's first act was not to explore, or rest, or build, it was to worship. He built an altar and offered sacrifices to God, expressing his gratitude, his awe, his trust.
Ho, ho, ho!
And God was pleased. He made a promise not just to Noah, but to all creation, that he would never again destroy the earth with a flood. Then he placed a sign in the sky, a bow of color stretching across the heavens, a rainbow, a reminder of mercy, a reminder of covenant, a reminder that even when humanity fails, God's love endures. Noah and his family began to rebuild the world.
Ho, ho, ho!
They planted, harvested, built homes, raised children, and watched new generations grow. Humanity began again, born not from perfection, but from grace. And so the story of Noah is not just about judgment. It is about faith in the midst of a corrupt world, obedience in the face of ridicule, trust when the future is uncertain, and a God whose mercy always outshines his wrath.
Ho, ho, ho!